Hey guys, it's Mr. Rand back here for our fourth short video lesson. Since we are in the medieval period, I'm going to be giving you guys an introduction and a brief overview of the Crusades today. Crusades were religious wars that occurred for nearly 200 years, beginning in the year 1095. The main reasoning behind the Crusades was a war launched by Christians to reclaim the Holy Land from Islamic rule. The Crusades were known to be incredibly violent and gruesome. Christian forces often wore crosses to represent the church during their fights. These people are known as crusaders. Religious orders, such as the Knights Templar, the Hospitallers, and the Teutonic Knights, were established during this time. Their roles focused on protecting the Holy Land and protecting those making pilgrimage to Jerusalem. The First Crusade began in the year 1096 and lasted for 3 years. The first band of crusaders, who consisted of a more unorganized group of knights and average people, led an invasion without waiting for the organized group of crusaders and were ultimately destroyed by Muslim forces. Another group of crusaders, who were led by Count Amico, invaded Rhineland and slaughtered many Jewish individuals living in various towns. This sparked massive outrage and caused a great crisis in the Jewish-Christian relationship ties. The four main Crusader armies gathered in Constantinople before launching their attack on Nicaea and Anatolia in May 1097. The Muslim cities surrendered to the Christian invaders in late June. After capturing several more Muslim cities, the Christians took aim at Jerusalem. It only took the Christians less than 2 months to cause the fall of Jerusalem. Despite their promise of protection, the Christians slaughtered hundreds of men, women, and children in their successful entry to Jerusalem in 1099. The First Crusade resulted in the accomplishment of their goal of capturing Jerusalem in such a short period of time that the majority of Crusaders returned home. The Crusaders who remained in the Holy Land formed Crusader states to govern and maintain their claimed land in Jerusalem: Antioch, Tripoli, and Edessa. Muslims began to launch their own war in 1130 and fought back against the Christians, eventually recapturing Edessa years later. News of the Christian loss of Edessa led King Louis VII of France and King Conrad III of Germany to launch the Second Crusade in the year 1147. The Muslim forces destroyed the forces of King Conrad at Dorylaeum, which was a huge victory for the Christians during the First Crusade. After the loss of Dorylaeum, King Louis and King Conrad joined forces at Jerusalem with the largest Crusader army of the time, consisting of 50,000 Crusaders. The large Crusader force was no match for the Muslim army, and they were met with a humiliating defeat. The massive Muslim victory effectively ended the Second Crusade in 1149. In 1187, Muslim forces led by Saladin launched a campaign against the Crusader-controlled Jerusalem. Saladin's troops retook the city of Hayden from the Crusaders in 1187. Outrage of the defeat caused the Third Crusade, contributed by rulers such as King Richard of England. The Third Crusade only had one truly recognized battle, the Battle of Arsuf. In this battle, King Richard's Crusader forces defeated those led by Saladin in 1191. In September of 1192, King Richard and Saladin signed a peace treaty re-establishing the Kingdom of Jerusalem, which actually excluded the city of Jerusalem itself, and effectively ended the Third Crusade. In 1198, Pope Innocent III called for a new crusade, but there was difficulties and power struggles among Europe and Byzantine Empire. Crusaders instead decided to deal with toppling the reigning Byzantine Emperor Alexius III, and instead replacing him with his nephew Alexius IV in 1203. Alexius IV was actually murdered in a coup in 1204. His death sparked the Crusaders to declare war on Constantinople. An absolutely bloody destruction and fall of Constantinople marked the end of the Fourth Crusade. The remainder of the Crusades consisted of Crusaders combating any and all enemies of the Christian faith. These remaining Crusades were small in numbers and consisted of many deaths and battles, but didn't hold as much significance as the four main Crusades did. The overall result of the Crusades was a victory for the Muslim lands. Though the Muslim victory was the end result, the length of the Crusades resulted in the spread of Christianity and Western civilization. The Catholic Church gained more power and wealth as a result as well, even though the Crusaders ultimately lost. Trade, travel, manufacturing, and transportation were also lasting results from the Crusades as well. Alright guys, that's the conclusion of our Crusades overview. I hope you found it helpful and interesting to go through medieval period section. I'll be back next week for my final video for you guys. That's all I've got for you today, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your week.